I have a video on white supremacy that I haven't done yet. My thoughts are pretty much, gathered on it. It's more of a question video in terms of, you know, black people and how we value ourselves, how we value each other, the issue that white supremacy presents, and all of that. Because, and I guess I'll give you, one of the first pieces is that I don't really buy into white supremacy's own concepts of superiority being intrinsic. I look at the way that white supremacy runs around, and they grab to the past. You got white guys running around screaming, "We were Vikings" and shit. They got to go to the Nazis and the Third Reich. They have to talk about all of their wars that they've won and things like that. And I mean, these things have been done. Again, going back to Richard Spencer about what lands were conquered, what people they conquered. Like, these were actions that were taken. As much as I will, I put down the Hoteps, I will also commend them for at least trying to, say something, original man status, all this stuff, trying to create some sort of value system with black people in terms of us valuing ourselves. The problem is that it's not backed by action, and it's not backed by history, going all the way back to ancient Egypt and talking about how all of the anthropologists are lying, and that the Arabs like Zahi Hawass, he wants to deny and say that they weren't black. Obviously, the Europeans want to do that. All this sorts of stuff. I don't want to get into all the human civilization being way older than people think it is. When you obviously you see the big ass Olmec heads, that says something. How far back does that go? Were Africans in the Americas? Were they the old? Who knows? But I'm saying it's too far back. Where are your recent accomplishments and your recent achievements? Recently, Nigeria just basically banned all non Nigerian, non African, or mainly British, because remember they were a British colony. In their advertisements, they're like, no more white models and shit like that in the advertisements, which I think is beautiful and probably one of the most positive things that Nigeria has done. And honestly, in this video that I was going to make, I already knew by the time I got to that end of the video, I was saying to myself, the only thing that black people are going to be able to do in order to correct this is to, separate themselves from white people. I mean, I took it way back. Like, I'm like, damn, I sound like either Amos Wilson or Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. I mean Dr. Hendrik Clark. Like, I was just like, yeah, separate. Because the thing is with white supremacy, like, it's not just that white people big up themselves and talk about how great they are. It's like they have to shit on other people. They just have to shit on other people in presenting the idea that they're, the best. But it's like, if you were truly the best, then why do you have to like, in other words, their white supremacy needs constant reinforcement. And I'm kind of getting into the other video that I didn't want to get into, but I need y'all to follow me on this shit. It's based off of um like, in other words, white supremacy is rooted and based in something. It's based in actions that were taken, things that were done. All right, it doesn't just exist in a vacuum. And every time black people try to create a counter to white supremacy, and they do it in a vacuum, it really doesn't hold water. At least I don't think so. Maybe some of you all disagree. Please write it in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about it. But all that trying to speak shit into existence, that doesn't fly with me, because at the end of the day, it starts sounding magical. Like, people can talk about the freaking Nazis and all this other shit. I'm saying the Germany lost World War One, and in 10 years' time, they were essentially a world superpower, and then just rolled blitzkrieged into Poland. What I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, you can say what you want. He actually did it, even though, Hitler was running around with all of his, Nazi, white supremacist ideology and everything else, and we are superior, blah blah blah. But he backed it up with action. Your hoteps, they get magical, they get anti-capitalistic, they get, there's no action there. But I do have to commend them for actually trying to get the ball rolling and trying to get away from, the low self-esteem and the inferiority complexes and all that by, saying, you're the original man, original woman, and all this other stuff. But like I said, it just gets too retarded. We were kings and queens. What, everybody was walking around with a scepter and a tiara in ancient Africa? Like, that shit is ridiculous. Somebody was telling me about Joe Rogan brought this Afrocentric dude on there, and that was one of the things that that Joe Rogan even pointed out. And I'm like, see, that's what I'm talking about. I gotta watch the episode. I haven't seen it, but people were telling me about it. I will sit down and freaking watch that. But anyway, this is what I'm gonna say. I'm going to get back to all that stuff about, how do we increase the value, like black people's value and idea and identity about themselves and everything, especially as it pertains to the children. Like I said, when you have black children saying, I want to play with the white doll over the black doll at 5 years old, what have they seen in the world in their little 5 years that makes them, say, I want the white doll over the black doll? That's problematic. And if it requires black people to separate themselves from white people, then I think that that's something that black people need to do. Because white people are not going to stop, hitting the pots and the pans and making the noise, that they do, when it comes to, bigging themselves up and facilitating, ideas of their own supremacy and making everybody else believe it. They're not going to stop doing that. White women are not just going to go from number one to number two and just accept black women's beauty and everything. Like, that's not going to happen. Again, black people and white people, I mean, they're like diametrically opposed to one another in terms of phenotype. You know what I mean? How can you promote light skin and not put down dark skin? How can you promote, or white skin? How can you promote black skin and not put down white skin? It's fucking virtually impossible. How can you promote black features and not put down white features? How can you promote white features and not put down black features? It's impossible. So looking at it all, I'm entertaining, what many of the pro blacks from the 1960s were saying about, we need to separate. Malcolm X was on the we need to separate tip. I'm just saying, in order for us to get our minds right, so that we can actually, be something and be somewhere and actually, compete in these marketplaces. Because I'm gonna tell you, like, looking at the shit, and I just watched that video from Financial Diet, which is a white woman who has a video that she's always talking about money and stuff like that. And man, there was so much in there that I've already said. I've already pointed out. I said it in the last video I did. What did I say in the last video I did? I was like, and white supremacy is fucking up. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Again, I pointed out that whole okay boomer shit, and she brought that shit right up in the video. I don't know what white supremacy is doing, but white supremacy is in decline. And in America, like freaking January 6th was just a taste. Okay, and you got to understand the extremely toxic mentality of many white people in America. They're not going to be able to handle the decline that is coming. Black people are like mired in poverty. We exist in poverty. We have babies in poverty. Some of the Hispanics, they go off and do the same thing, right? But when you have a situation where the boomers have really screwed over their grandkids. I mean, really screwed over their grandkids. The information that they're giving, and this is one of the things that she was pointing out in her video, the information that they gave their children, which is, I mean, it's like they might as well just handed over their children and fed them to the banks, because that's pretty much what they did. And many of the boomers, those that are trying to help their kids get out of financial debt, are also being hurt in the process as well. Where people have grown children who still live at home. The millennials are not doing better than their parents. And the zillennials, oh God, forget about it. I mean, the wealth gap with them is already, profoundly started, even just in terms of, all this crap with, either you got to have a YouTube channel or you got to be on social media. That's the only really way that you're going to make money. Right? And I don't even know what it's going to look like in terms of, now people are starting to question college and look away from college because all they see it is as debt, and you don't even get the return on investment, right? You can't buy a home, right? Again, I've already talked about the housing system being broken. Like, I made the point, at least a few years ago about, I'm like, how is this supposed to work? You know what I mean? How is it supposed to work that like each subsequent generation, the housing prices just keep going up and up because it's an investment? And then a house is supposed to be $1 million. And one of the things that she brought up in the videos, like people talking about buying a starter home. What starter homes? There are no starter homes. Right? It's just each subsequent generation of new young people are supposed to pay higher prices and premiums on new houses while they don't build new houses. And then you wonder why, you have all this crap about, oh, the white community is going to be a minority, right? You got all these people talking about the great replacement, right? The white dude that shot up the freaking top supermarket. You got freaking, the white boy that went into AME church, right, and shot up the black congregation, right, because he wanted to kick off a race war and whatnot, right, because they feel the impact. And this ties into the photo that's been circulating of all these black boys that are with these white women. I mean, what does it mean to be a white male if in terms of white supremacy, in terms of why a woman should prefer a white male over a black male? If white males can't even get their started, they will find themselves in the same financial quagmire that black men find themselves in. Now we can talk about, yeah, maybe, some of that wealth will be transferred when the boomers die, right? But so what are you saying, that these white boys got to start their life when they're 40? When they're 35? Like, when do they get to start their life? They're not even socialized to think like that. They've been socialized to be entitled to, I get to start my life at 25 and go out here and and do big things and live in an area not filled with minorities and drive around in a luxury vehicle, at least a C-class Mercedes Benz, and go to the bars and have fun and do shit and find the girl of my dreams, get married and start a family and pop out their first kid at she's 27 and he's 29, right? But for many folks, that's just not the case. Many white folks, that's not the case. They're bogged down with debt. Why is Joe Biden, with this whole, we're gonna eliminate people's debt? They talk about $10,000. I don't know what the fuck he thinks $10,000 is gonna do. What is $10,000? That doesn't even cover, for most universities, that doesn't even cover the one semester. Fuck are you talking about, right? And so you got young people coming out, got debt. This is white people I'm talking about. Got debt, can't buy a home. Oh, you want to buy a 3-bedroom bungalow? $400,000. $400,000. Yeah, even the price, like, I shouldn't use California because California is just the absolute worst example ever. If you look at the housing prices in California, the whole system is broken. And this is the system of white supremacy. And this is the part that black people need to, like, be concerned about and really, really listen to me when I say this. Okay? White people are fragile as fuck. They are not going to be able to handle what is coming. And they will blame everybody else for what's going on. They're going to be blaming the Muslims. They already are. They're going to be blaming the Mexicans. They're going to be blaming black people. Right? Yeah. And like I said, black people, currently are the face of all the crime and whatever and whatnot. And so everything's directed at us right now because again, black people were already in poverty, couldn't weather the storm, right? The majority of black people, and so that's why you see this whole crime wave, and the white people, they want to foam at the mouth and make it about the blacks. But I'm like, eventually they're gonna fall right behind. Like they're like their shit is gonna. I mean, again, the thing is even if they don't fall into crime, what you're gonna see them fall into is homegrown terrorism. Again, it's gonna those guys that you saw storming the Capitol January 6th. Yeah, they were fucking middle-aged 50-year-old white men. I think they were like 35 to like 50 something and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, and you're gonna see another wave of guys when they hit 40 years old and they can't get their lives started, and they're gonna be frustrated, and they're gonna demand a referendum, of America, and it's gonna be the most extreme far right examples, coming from the far right, obviously, of what needs to be done, and it's not gonna be self-reflective. It's not gonna be, hey, go after the bankers. It's not going to be, hey, go after the Fortune 500 companies, that we, constantly, perpetually bail out, these corporate bailouts and shit. No, it's not going to be that. It's not going to be these, what's that shit called? The Black Water, what's that shit? Blackstone, whatever that company is that's buying up all the properties and shit and turning people into renters of single family home. No, it's not going to be that. No. It's the blacks. It's the Jews. It's the Muslims. It's the Hispanics. It's going to be all of that. It's going to be everybody but white people. It's going to be like the forever purge. We've got to, ever after. It's going to be that type of bullshit. I'm telling you, it's like, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm blown away because I'm like, I thought it was supposed to be white supremacy. Like, how do you fuck up white supremacy? Right? I'm saying, how do you fuck that up? You got everything going for you. You got the economics, you got the tribalism, the group economic, you got all that shit going on, right? All you gotta do is just discriminate, make sure a majority of the jobs go to your people, tell other people whatever, right? How do you fuck that up? Right? To the point where your own offspring, you don't want to pay them, right? They can't get into a home. You got them bogged down with massive amounts of student loan debt, right? Like how do you, and again, even like I see these like middle-aged white men, 50 something years old, going up on the TV, bitching at the Democratic Congress people. How was that fair to me? And this, and I saved, and da 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 da. All these like, I don't want to say blue collar white guys, but these, white guys that didn't go to college and shit like that. Like they're bitching and all this other shit. And I'm like, didn't you send your kids to college? Like how many of them sent their kids to college? So they're trying to come at it with the whole like personal responsibility angle, but don't really realize that the system is collapsing underneath them. Like these are the same people that are bitching about, the fact that the white population is declining, but then, they're so personal responsibility with it that they don't want to restructure the system or redistribute the wealth, even amongst other white people, let alone the minorities. Forget about it. You can't talk about reparations for slavery. You can't talk about, any other, freaking group. Oh, hell, that's a big fat hell no. But they're even saying hell no to their own kids. And I'm like, I don't know how you expect to maintain power with that shit. You know what I mean? I would expect white people to do all type of shit to cheat in order to maintain power. Like you would think that their vision would be that far, but no, they're not. Like how you go like the Arab Emirates, you go to into Dubai and shit like that, and how everything is in their favor. You know what I mean? And let you don't. I mean, plain and simple, the whole system is designed to benefit them. If you ain't an Arab Emirati, you ain't shit. And you know what I mean? Like they're only 10% of the population. They throw all type of incentives at their own people for them to get married. And even they're having some money problems, quiet as is kept. But They try to have like these big weddings, like instead of having one wedding individually, like they're trying to incentivize shit so much, they try to have these big, large group weddings. You can find the video on YouTube, right? But I'm just looking at the situation, and I'm like, maybe I got to reevaluate this white supremacy thing, because these white folks are fucking up. I mean, you're talking about the decline of an empire. Okay, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about the end of Rome, right? And then you got all this other shit going on: China, Taiwan, Ukraine, Russia, all that shit. I mean, even in Europe, same issue. Same issue. Declining white people birth rates. Muslims, again, people who who already poor and have operated in poverty. They don't mind bringing children into poverty. It's the white people who are used to, a higher quality of life, the values that they believe in, and the lifestyle and all that they've been quote unquote promised. They bought into that. So what do you see is, you see a whole bunch of white people saying, "Hey, I'm not having any kids." I knew it was fucked. I knew it was fucked up when I started seeing people making YouTube videos about how they're renovating buses and vans and living out of a bus or a van in order to save money. I'm like, oh, you done fucked up, white supremacy. You done fucked up big time. I mean, majorly fucked up. Majorly. So now I'm saying to myself, I'm like, damn, I gotta get more guns and ammunition, cause this shit is about to go south. I'm not saying it's gonna happen tomorrow. I'm not saying it's gonna happen next month. I'm not saying it's gonna happen 6 months from now. But eventually, one of the wheels on this bus are going to break off, and it's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly. The wheels have already been off the bus, for the black community. The black community, again, like I always say, we're the canaries in the coal mine. The wheels have already been off for us. So we got all type of problems: marital problems, relationship problems, economic fucking problems, poverty problems, crime problems, food desert problems. We got 1,000,001 problems. That shit hasn't fully hit white people yet. You know what I mean? They still got hope. They're still like, man, I think I'm going to ride this white shit out for a while. See where it gets me. They still have the hope that the Titanic is not going to hit the iceberg. They're going to turn this shit around. You know what I mean? I can already see that the shit already hit the iceberg. You know what I mean? And they're over there. I'm looking at the shit going, nigga, that's 5 compartments, and they're like, well, what about the pumps? I'm like, the pumps only buy you time, minutes at best. You know what I mean? So the pumps are pumping right now at full fucking capacity. But I'm like, this is not sustainable. This is not sustainable. People should have known this, again, just with the housing market alone. How, the freaking people, the freaking Levitt town houses were built $10,000. For $10,000. You get to the freaking 19, freaking, 90s and shit. The house was $200,000. You get to 2020s, the house is $400,000, and that house is like fucking, what is that? 70 years old or some shit like that? Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And you got a freaking a new couple, 27 years old and 29-year-old, looking at the house trying to figure out how they're supposed to pay for a $400,000 house that's fucking 70 years fucking old. And they're, I'm trying to figure out, $400,000 for the bitch. I don't know what the houses go for in Levitt. Let me type in, let me look at right now. Zillow, Levittown, PA. Let's see what the houses go for. Maybe I'm reaching too far. Houses for sale, Levittown, Pennsylvania. Let's see. Oh my God. $465,000. Freaking another house. This is a 4-bedroom house, 2 baths. Another 4-bedroom house, $314,000, 2 baths. 4 baths, $300,000, $369,000. These are starter homes. $365,000. Here's a home, 289,000. I don't know what the fuck they did, thinking that they were doing some sort of redesign. Looks crazy. 375,000. Got another house, 439,000. Another house, 355,000. These are started home. These were created when was well, let me find this. Levittown. When was Levittown, PA built? Let's see. Levittown. Oh my God. Oh my God. The first Levittown sprang up to life in 1947 on 1,200 acres of potato fields. Oh, this one's in Long Island. That's not what I asked. Hold on. Levittown, PA. Starting in lands of 1950. So, okay, Pennsylvania was started. Wait. Levittown, Pennsylvania, 1951. So the first Levittown was Long Island. I didn't even know they had a Levittown up there. But anyway, that was 1947. This was 1951. It's 2022. So we're talking 71. Well, this year's not over, but 71 years. So to buy a 71-year-old house is going to cost you 300 and you heard all the numbers I read, like $360,000 for a 70-year-old fucking house. Let that sink in for a second. Let that sink in. And wages have been stagnant, and on top of that, folks got whatever student debt they have, especially white folks, because they love college so much that they cheat to get into it, right? That's what we're looking at. And I'm sitting there. I don't know who the muhaha white people are, sitting in the Dr. Claw chair. But I'm looking at y'all motherfuckers like, fuck is you doing? This is how you maintain white supremacy. If I was king of Wakanda, that's not how I would maintain black supremacy. I'm just saying that's not how I would go about maintaining it. I would make sure that the young Wakandans could get their lives started. So now you're about to have the white folks in the same exact black folks. And I know it's not going to happen overnight. I don't think the wealth that they do have and the wealth that will be transferred is just going to simply evaporate. But it's a major problem when you have young people who cannot get their lives started until they essentially hit the halfway point. 35 is the fucking halfway point of life. Just so you know that. That's why Kevin shit was crazy to me. When a person is 35, that is essentially half of your life. You know why I say 35 is the halfway point? Because if you die at 70, nobody's going to be like, "Oh my God, he died at 70. He was so young." Nobody is going to say that. They're going to be like, "Yeah, 70, like after 70, like every day is a blessing after 70. After 70, every day is a fucking blessing." So 35 is the fucking halfway point. You go back to the 50s, a motherfucker go off, like I said, Detroit, hop out the car, go stand in line, get paid, get a unionized job at General Motors or Chrysler or Studebaker or GM, whatever. And the man could support a family, have a stay-at-home wife, 2 cars in the driveway, kids going to school, pay for the kids to go to college. And like I said, the wife was a stay-at-home mom. Now, women, like, they don't even have the option of being. It's so funny because you hear all this. I want the bag. I want a man that has X amount of dollars. I want all this shit, and everything else. And I'm like, do y'all even want to work? Why are you even screaming about being strong and independent? Because a lot of y'all just sound like you just want to sit home and be able to do nothing or, play with the kids. And I'm not going to diminish that, but I'm just saying, like, it's either they want to do nothing at all and have a maid, or they want to, be, a traditional wife. But I'm like, well, the way that the society is currently set up, it's not going to allow you to do that. And I don't, and then on top of that, I'm like, okay, if you have a population of young people who can't even get their lives started, how does America maintain its superpower status? How does that fucking work? I mean, it seems to me America's got the same problem that China has right now with their fucking housing market, where you got people, the Chinese are threatening to not pay their mortgage on properties that were never built. Again, more of the homes should be an investment. It's all about investing, which again is predicated on the idea that housing prices just go up infinitely and that charge is thrust upon future generations. And then people sit around and wonder why future generations aren't producing children, why their population is in decline. I'm like, if a young person can barely take care of themselves, why the fuck would they bring children into the world, especially in a society where those that are members of the dominant society have basically put out there that that only poor people bring children into the world that when they can't afford them, right? So if you're raised on that model, right? Why would you bring children into the world that you can't provide for? Oh, and be like the blacks and be like the Hispanics. Oh no, we don't operate like on that. And then so what is the answer to that? Not have children so that they don't live or exist in poverty, even though they'll still be, the working poor. Now, in order to make it, they got to start a YouTube channel. They got to have 7 streams of income. The wife has to start a business out of the garage or some shit like that. You know what I mean? They gotta sell candy, from their doorstep like every day is Halloween. Like, really? Really? This is white supremacy. Really? Really? You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was so stupid is like the real white supremacists out there, the neo-Nazis and all that shit, they're not even paying attention to this bullshit. They're over there just again foaming at the mouth, blaming all the minorities that don't control the system, but they don't point the finger and look at the motherfuckers that look like them. Or even if they remotely do, they'll just say, "Oh, it's the liberals." It's the liberal white people because they're a different species of white people apparently. It's the liberal white people. That's what we're mad at. I'm like, you're still not going to be mad at the white men that look like you because it's mainly white men that are the ones sitting up there at the big oak desk calling all the shots. That's who's fucking you over. Right? And then they'll go, no. It's the Jews, right? Then they go, oh, it's the Jews, right? So I'm like, again, you refuse to look in the fucking mirror. You refuse. I mean, you're the one that said America was. What did they say? They said America was not stolen. It was conquered. Yeah. You were running the shit, right? You were running the show, right? You were calling the shots, right? So wouldn't all of this collapse be something that happened on your watch? Wouldn't it be something that happened on your watch? I mean, I want you to think about the audacity of these motherfuckers. America is in decline and all this other shit. Right? We've only had one non-white president, and somehow it's the minority's fault. Really? It's the minority's fault? Really? You've had all these white presidents, right? Was it 48? We're at 48. 48 white presidents, right? No. 45, 46. No, 46. 46 white presidents. Right? Where'd I get 48 from? 46 white presidents, right? Because Trump was 45. 46 white presidents. Or excuse me, 45 white presidents and one black guy. One actually biracial guy. But I'm like, but none of this shit happened on your watch? The decline didn't happen on your watch? Oh, I get it. We were too benevolent to the minorities, and that's why America declined. See, they're always going to try to tie it back to us. And like I'm saying, look, black people, I know you've been arming yourselves and buying guns and all this other shit, but trust and believe, shit's about to get real out here. It's going to get real stupid. Okay? And they will try it. When shit gets bad enough, they're going to point the finger at us. They're going to point the finger at other people as well. But I'm just saying, we need to be prepared. They're pointing the finger at us. I'm just letting y'all know that. I don't know. There's people who think like, oh, we still got time. There's still time to go. Wee. I'm like, okay, well then I guess go wee until the damn wheel falls off. But one of these wheels is coming off this motherfucker. And then I don't know what happens after that. I can't see that far into the future. I have to go and find my Nicodemus crystal ball and look into it and give it some more thought. But right now, I have been hinting at this for a while. I'm like, what the fuck is white supremacy doing? What are they doing? Just screwing over their own children, their own precious white children. You see this precious white baby right here? Just screwing them over. And again, again, we're like I said before, we're like in a canoe next to a cruise liner, and the cruise liner blows past us, like we get knocked over in the wake. Like black people, they ain't really shit we can do about it. Ex-slave population, and went through Jim Crow and all the marginalization, redlining, blockbusting, COINTELPRO, eminent domain, urban renewal, Robert Moses with the 1956 Highway Commission Act and all the bullshit that he did, which is why they got from them goddamn low bridges in freaking Long Island. The shit is just, it's all fucked up. Just fucked up. And we just deal with it, and then we have our own issues of not valuing each other and self-hatred and all this other bullshit, inferiority complex, taking out our angle on each other. I was joking with somebody the other day. I was like, how you stop all the shooting in the black community? I could reduce it by 25%, tomorrow. And they were like, how do you do that? Air conditioning. Plain and simple, air conditioning. Because you know why? Because when niggas ain't hot, they ain't outside. If they not outside, they not, interacting with each other like that. And they're not frustrated and angry and other shit because of not only the poverty that they exist in, but they're not hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why that always went over people's head. I'm like, why are there more shootings in the summertime? Cause niggas are outside. That's why. And when they outside and there's more human interaction, there's more beef. And when there's more beef, that means there's more fights. And when there's more fights, that means there's more, obviously, fights and violence. So it's synonymous with one another, but then there's more shootings. So I'm like, if people really wanted to reduce the violence, it's air conditioning. I'm just saying that would reduce it by like 25%. But see, the real ugly reality is, again, black people are an inconvenient population. We have no use. Once slavery ended, it was like, oh, well, what do we do with them? I don't know. We send them back to Africa. Oh, that costs too much money. No, I don't know. Just let them be somewhere. I don't know. Come up with some Jim Crow laws. Convict leasing. Arrest them. We'll extract labor out of them, right? And they're inconvenient we are an inconvenient population. And so, that whole video I did about, reparations for slavery versus, the prison industrial complex and how much that's actually costing people. I was just making that video for the white bean counters. I don't believe every white person is some foaming at the mouth white supremacist. I believe there's a few that are just some bean counters. They're like, wait a minute. What do you mean we're wasting all this human, capital and all this, what could contribute to the overall GDP? But see, the thing is, to the average white person, no, they don't want to deal with us. Lock them up. I don't want to see them. Just make them go away. I don't want to deal with their underlying problems. We don't want to resolve the shit that the transgressions of our ancestors. Fuck that. We just lock them up, throw away the key. Don't want to deal with it. Don't want to see it. You know what I'm saying? And they've been doing that. And it's the same as I said with, Charlie Wilson's war. Freaking Charlie Wilson. Hey, can we get $2 million for a school? Fuck that. Nobody cares about Pakistan. Afghanistan. Not Pakistan, Afghanistan. We don't care about Afghanistan, Shmanistan. You know what I mean? And then next thing you know, here you got Osama bin Laden, 19 guys with box cutters. Allahu Akbar! Boom! Flies that bitch right into the fucking towers, and the crew that fought back in Pennsylvania that crashed it into the ground and then smashed it into the Pentagon. You see? And I'm like, that all of that could have been averted, but fuck that shit. And I know people, I think the 9/11 was an inside joke, all that bullshit. I'm like, look, whatever. The bottom line, the man said, hey, we wanted to contain communism. We supplied and trained the Mujahideen, okay? And you just talking about we just gonna pack up and leave. Yep, mission accomplished. Russia collapsed. fucking 1989. So, we can dip out and that's it. And it's like, so you're just going to leave all this ordinance and all this shit on the ground. I mean, all this shit is leaving, Afghanistan, although I don't believe that we should have stayed there. But I'm like, if you're just going to leave all the shit there. I mean, talk about creating future 9/11s. I mean, talk about that shit. Although the Taliban doesn't look like it's poised to do anything at this point, they're just kind of over there like, well, we got control, we got what we wanted. And I'm like, yeah, now you got a whole bunch of infrastructural shit that you all have to take care of. See, it's sexy to sit there and go, oh, I want to fight and battle the Americans and have that sort of enemy and be a warrior in a combat. Yeah, but now you're a warrior in a garden. Now you have to, produce governments and functioning governments and get water to the people and how you're going to deal with agricultural and GDP and all this other shit. Oh, it's just crazy. They got to deal with all that now. And who knows whether they actually have the logistic people. Sorry, all the answers for you are not going to be in the Quran. Sorry, but they're not. But anyway, that's a whole different story. Yeah, but like the shit is just hitting me after watching that video. And I've seen a number of videos, these OK Boomer videos, and I'm like, yeah, white supremacy they done fucked up. They've really fucked up looking at it. And as black people, I wish that we were in a much better position. I wish that we could weather the storm, pick up and go somewhere else, whatever it may be. But nah, like we're in bad shape. And, again, when white people, when they're sick, we're on life support. I mean, it's just plain and simple. You know what I mean? When they catch a cold, you know what I'm saying? Like, we our freaking, O2 saturation drops below 92. You know what I mean? Like our shit is fucked up. And I don't think that black people recognize that. I don't think that black people really fully comprehend the amount of hate that is going to be on the rise coming from white folks. It's going to be some serious hate, because white people, they again, this is why critical race theory is needed and shit in schools, because they don't process shit right. You know what I mean? All the information sitting there on the internet, and you still got people sitting there talking about shit like they don't know how shit got to where it got to. You know what I mean? Like they paint their own narratives of, yes, it's just personal responsibility. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of laughing during watching her make that video, because even I was saying to myself, I was like, no, bitch, personal responsibility. That's why this shit didn't work. But see, I'm smarter than that. I know that it's not just personal responsibility does not answer like what the fuck has happened. You know what I'm saying? Like it hasn't answered that shit. And sometimes I suspect that some of the shit that's being done is intentionally, because they're like, shit, we got to take people's guns away. We got to reduce this population because shit is about to go south. Give them more fentanyl. Take their guns away because we don't want a revolution. We don't want the shit to turn into that Tom Clancy video game that they never made, which was freaking Patriots. The Tom Clancy game. I think it was called Patriots. I think that was just the title. And they go ahead, watch the trailer for Tom Clancy Patriots. Watch the fucking trailer for that shit. It's about everything that I'm talking about. And I'm pretty sure that the studio got a phone call and they were like, nah, you ain't putting this shit out. You ain't putting this video game out. No. It's sending too much of a message that we don't want people to think. The shit, I just don't get it, man. The shit is, I'm telling you, it's going to look like the Purge out in this bitch. These white people living in gated communities, having security systems, when they hit the switch and, a whole bunch of metal barricades pop up, closing around their windows, like as though they're closing up a freaking, one of those, stores in a bullshit ass strip mall. Yeah, they're going to have all that shit. Shit's going to be looking like South Africa real quick with that type of the security that's needed, and it's just gonna get bad. It's gonna be looking like OCP 1987 RoboCop Detroit out this bitch. Y'all think I'm playing? You see the tent cities in California, you see the tent cities in Oregon, you see the fucking the zombie land in fucking Kensington, Philadelphia. oh, this shit's about to get bad. All this, oh, jobs have what is it? Job creation is at an all-time high. It's like they keep pushing that bullshit out there. That, oh, there's more jobs now and unemployment is low. It's below 4%. All this shit. I'm like, what type of fucking jobs? What type of jobs? Full medical and dental, livable wages. Not this, oh, you should work for minimum wage and you're just nothing but the working poor. And there's always going to be this fucking conflict because white people still have that white supremacist mentality in their head, where it's like, they look at black people like, oh, you should work for those minimum wage jobs, but not me. I'm white. I'm a white person. I deserve more, and somebody's going to give it to me. And they have the audacity to turn around and call, other people entitled. You see, like, I'm telling you, man, like this, like, black people, just be fucking vigilant. Be fucking, I cannot express it enough. Stay strapped. Be vigilant. Unfortunately, you got to be, vigilant from your own people because, we're on the struggle bus. But, be vigilant because I'm telling you, the more of these young white men who cannot get their life started, they're going to be, they're going to be fucked up, and especially, for the handful of brothers, all 10% of them, that are marrying outside the race or with white women, please, man, because these hoes ain't loyal. Women go where the resources are at. Women don't give a fuck what your favorite color is. Women go where the resources are at. I don't care whether the woman's white, black, or whatever. It's all about the fucking resources. And if shit starts looking like, that there's no advantage, like you're gonna start having. Remember, I was talking about black boys saying, "What do I need a black woman for?" Yeah, you're gonna start seeing white women say, "What do I need a white guy for?" You're gonna start seeing that bullshit, and then it'll become where getting with this group or that group it doesn't have any advantages because everybody's going to be in the same goddamn boat. Like, how are you going to, again, it's in the suffix, right? White supremacy. Where are white people going to be supreme in this situation when you got a whole bunch of young white men who can't get their fucking life started? I should say white men and white women, but still with the belief that we're operating underneath patriarchy. Right? I mean, even patriarchy cannot survive that type of bullshit. And again, it's just going to be, see, white people, this is why white men have like the highest rate of suicide, because they don't believe, everything is socialism to them. They don't believe in establishing the proper channels for help. They don't have the proper support systems in their community. It's like when Michael Jai White went on Vlad and he was talking to him about the beauty of poverty and how, there's a support system with each other because all you have is each other. You know what I'm saying? But with white folks, it's like, they go out there like, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here. Okay, well, what happens when that doesn't happen for you? When your whole identity is predicated off of, being a productive white man and you can't even get your fucking life started. Where is your value now? Why do you think you see the rise of all these young white men joining white nationalists and white supremacist groups? Why do you think we're seeing that more than in the 90s and shit like that? Why? Because a lot of them can't get their fucking lives started. That's just my opinion. Okay? They feel marginalized. They feel like, and then you throw on all the stuff with like black people, we're demanding justice and equity and all that stuff, and they're used to a position of privilege. So, again, losing that privilege feels like oppression to them, but in conjunction with the fact that they can't get their fucking lives started. You see? Wages are stagnant. Freaking, they thought they'd be married at a particular point. They're like, they can't get the woman that they want. Right? These are the things that you put it all together. You're like, oh, I see what's happening. And so the anger is building, but it's misdirected anger. They over there directing the shit at, it's because these damn blacks. I'm like, how come you don't say it's because these damn bankers? You know what I'm saying? How come you don't say it's because these damn universities, right, that are in cahoots with the bankers or in cahoots with the federal government? I mean, the federal government comes through and subsidizes the shit, but see, you have to go and watch a whole video on the freaking, the Federal Reserve and all that, and, the Rothschild family and how all that shit works, which there's an actual awesome cartoon on that on YouTube. Or at least there was for a while. It's a great little cartoon talking about how the banks actually work and how they make money out of thin air by basically selling debt. So this shit is fucked up. I'm just saying, black people, we gotta focus. White supremacy might get toppled, but we gotta focus. And again, because of what white people were sold about themselves, the idea that they should always be in this position over other people and all that other stuff. If they even remotely start seeing like black people just suddenly wave the magic wand and they got their shit together, that shit, white people will try to burn your shit down again, just like they did in Tulsa and Rosewood and Elaine, Arkansas and freaking Wilmington, North Carolina, right? They will burn your shit down. Come up with whatever stupid reason, because you're not supposed to be there. And if you did get there, you're black. You obviously got there from some nefarious ways. You didn't get there through hard work and conviction. It's hilarious watching, these white folks, sit there and slam black people today about what they don't have, and this idea that they never had anything and they're always just been poor and dusty and leeches off of the system. But when black people had thriving black communities, what happened? White people came in there and burned them out. But see, they don't want to tell that part of history again, which is why we desperately need critical race theory being taught into the schools. And the funny thing is, critical race theory would also further highlight even ways in which the system has worked against white people themselves. The Latimer Massacre, the Ludlow Massacre, the Memorial Day Massacre, the Homestead Massacre. That's white on white. Those are white people that were fighting for fucking wages, and the freaking governments, and these companies, went and got private security like the Pinkertons and gunned those people down. But again, how many white people even know about those labor riots? That was white on white. No, they don't. They believe, these working class and poor whites believe that them and the white elites that are sitting in the Dr. Claw chair are on the same page. They're on the same team. And the white elites are smart to sit there and oblige them and make them think that they are. That way that they're not focused on them. But the fact of the reality is that they're getting screwed at the same time and don't even realize it. They're too busy foaming at the mouth about the blacks and the Jews and the Hispanics and the Syrian refugees and the Afghanis and and everybody who isn't them. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, you need to look at your system. And again, like, it's just sad because I know the pathology of white people. It's not going to be, oh my God, black people, you're so right. Let us join forces and form Voltron and stamp out these folks that are hoarding massive amounts of wealth and are evil. You see, they're not going to do that. They're going to sit there and just keep doing the thing until the wheel falls off. And then when the wheel falls off, it's going to be looking like Mad Max and the Road Warrior, type bullshit, Furiosa, it's going to be looking like that out here. With the kid with the bear claw and the fucking silver boomerang. That's what it's going to be looking out, this bitch. Mad Max and the fucking Road Warrior. That's what it's going to look like. I'm like, I can't believe it. But again, I can believe it if you want to believe in, some more evil, nefarious, evil muhaha, trilateral Bilderberg group, freaking the banking cartels type of shit, because it's just about creating more debt and more wealth and more debt and more wars and more debt and more wealth and more but that doesn't trickle down to the people. Keep the people divided. You can always pay half the poor to kill the other half, right? You can always, divide and conquer. That's like the oldest fucking trick in the book. Yeah, separate them, get them to fight amongst each other. Yes, 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 and we will laugh our way to the bank. But like, I'm like, doesn't it get to a point where they start to undermine themselves? You know what I mean? I guess the point is to make the whole world break as a system and then new world order, right? I guess that's the goal. But I'm just saying, in terms of like the way that wealth is made and created, and those that have companies and businesses and this whole global economy and everything's interconnected, I'm like, God damn, if you make people so fucking poor, they won't be able to buy or purchase anything. But then again, if you make them that poor, then they essentially become your slaves. Right. This is why I think, again, they push this, the gun control so hard, because, America and gun rights sends the wrong message globally. The whole America is a fucking thorn in the New World Order side, in my opinion. All this talk of freedom and my rights and my individual rights and my God-given rights and all that. That's a problem. No, they need you to be like, what China is doing to the Uyghurs, and they needed you to be like how the Chinese government is, and taking people's passports, and you can't leave the country, and you can't protest, and I got you on your social media, and I got cameras, all over the fucking place, and I'm gonna just appreciate your social score. I mean, they want to get it to be like an Eon Flux type of world. That's how they want it. And again, it's these white folks, man. It's not anybody else. It's these white folks that are foaming at the mouth, that always fucking, it's always like some racial bullshit with them. Those people, those people, those people, those people, and they never look in the fucking mirror. They never look at the mirror. Really? So let me get this right. So you're in $100,000 of student debt because of black people? Let me get this right. So your wages have stayed stagnant over the last 30 years because of black people? Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's try this again. So let me get this right. So you can't afford a home today because of black people? I'm sorry. I didn't know that it was black people that you went to the bank to or to get loans from, for your mortgage. I'm sorry. You don't have the job you want because of black people? I'm sorry. I didn't know that black people were doing the hiring and were the ones that were in control of the Fortune 500 companies. I'm sorry. It's black people's fault. So you just turn on the 6 o'clock news and you see some crime of black people at the bottom, and then you go, see, this niggers was breathing up all the white man's air. Really, breathing up all the white man's air, and that's why you're in the situation that you're in, where you can't get your life started because some black teenagers robbed a fucking Walgreens in Sacramento or some shit like that. That's why you can't get your life and haven't been able to get your life started since way before the fucking pandemic. I'm like, I can't with these people. I can't. But this is where we are. This is literally where we freaking are. And I'm blown away. I'm like, I got to reevaluate white supremacy, because I'm like, maybe it's not white supremacy. Maybe it's class supremacy. And everybody's been tricked into thinking it's white supremacy when it's another form of supremacy. But I'm saying, looking at it, I'm like, going with the idea of white supremacy, I'm like, what is white supremacy? What the fuck are you doing? White supremacy is supposed to work in, I give my white progeny and I give white people all the advantages and I disadvantage all the minorities. And I'm not saying that still isn't going on. But when it starts chipping into, I'm like, what did you suddenly become colorblind overnight? Like, what did you like? Did you get hit in the head or something? Is your tracking system off? Like, is your Terminator 2 vision not working or something? Like, why is it that, like, all of a sudden You're out here, you're screwing over your own. You're screwing over your own. Damn. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. I mean, you see this even shit with the way that the dealerships are inflating cars and shit like that, adding 70. Oh, you want that new Nissan 350Z? Adding another $70,000. Wait, huh? What? Oh, you want that new, Corvette? Oh, $119,000. We're gonna make this Corvette over $90,000. I'm like, Corvettes is supposed to be like 50, 60, like they're supposed to be in that range, 50, 55K. You know what I mean? Like, that's the range it's supposed to be in, $90,000 for a new Corvette. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, again, if black people can't even afford fucking Corvettes, like, clearly they're not doing that shit against us. You know what I'm saying? Like, the shit is wild to me. But anyway, I already made this video long enough. I had to get this shit off my chest because I'm just sitting here. I'm like, nah. Like, this goes back to the way I've been feeling. The nigga visions I've been having and whatnot. I'm like, nah, this little financial debt video. I'm like, nah, she confirmed this shit. I'm like, you're screwing over. I'm like, how do you maintain white supremacy in that? How is that maintained? You know? But then again, when you really look at, slavery, people will look at it, oh, it is the system of white supremacy, and it was. But think about being a poor working class white man in the South trying to get a job. You know what I mean? The white rich landowners, you come up and you pull up, not that anybody had a resume then, but you would offer your services, sir. I can do this and I can do that. And that landowning white man would look at you and be like, Jebediah, I don't need you to do these things because can't you see I have all these slaves that are working for me for free? So why should I pay you when I could just get one of my trusted slaves to do it for me? Right? And Jebediah shows up and, he gets turned down. Next week, Ezekiel shows up. He gets turned down. The following week, Bartholomew shows up. He gets turned down. What white man? And see, people didn't even pick up on this in Django. Because in Django, if you noticed, all the white people that at the end of the movie, they came guns blazing to kill, Jamie Foxx's character, Django. They were all poor with dirty teeth, all that shit. All the white people with the dogs and laughing and shit like that, and all the whatever what were they called? What were they? The Clayton brothers or some shit? I forget the name of the brothers. But they're all these poor whites that were in the movie. The only wealthy white man in the movie was what was he would call himself? What was it? Not Monsieur. What was it called? What was he called? What was Leonardo DiCaprio's character's name called? It's slipping my mind. What's his name called? What's his name? Shit. I forget. Yeah. No, actually, it was him, his character, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, and then the other dude, the other white guy, Big Daddy. That was the other one. All the other white people in the movie were poor, or worked for, Big Daddy, or worked for, Leonardo DiCaprio's character. And this is one of the biggest things. I mean, Michael Stokely talked about this, or not Michael Stokely, Stokely Carmichael, like having a dyslexis moment. Stokely Carmichael talked about this. If you go on YouTube and you pull up that United Auto Workers video, just type in United Auto Workers video. It's black and white, and he's where they're up there. And I forget who else is talking, but they're up there talking about his fingers ain't been clean in forever. Blah 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 blah. Because he works in Kennecott, works in Bolivia. All this shit, like. And talking about the working man, talking about, jobs and livable wages. And, it's like he said in that clip, it's like no matter what, he's like, these working class white, they're never going to side with, the blacks. They're never going to side with the minorities. And they're just not. And I don't use the term the blacks. That's white people's term. I'm just referring to it, but I just say black people. But you know how they do. They're like the blacks, But yeah, like they're never gonna fucking form. And I've had a number of people over the years come over and tell me that. I've had biracial people tell me that. People who got have a white parent. I'm like, damn, ain't that a bitch? You got a racist, parent, and they, had mixed children and shit, and still on some racist shit. I mean, hey, it happens. People who go out, hop the fence, regret all type of shit. I remember you had that Asian dude. I don't know if he deleted himself or not, but there was an Asian dude named Asian Tiger. He talked about that. He was half white, half Asian, and talked about his self-hating dad and his self-hating mom. And I mean, that shit was a doozy. I think they took his videos down, but he was laying out the truth with that shit. But man, I mean, I don't know what white supremacy is doing, y'all. I don't. But anyway, I'm going on and on, belaboring the point and all this other shit. Let me end this video. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.